Walk into any major US stadium today and you will find kids wearing Lionel Messi jerseys. The global games saturated the American market, drawing massive crowds and billions of dollars in investment. But in 1990, the American men's national team was completely disrespected on the world stage. After qualifying for their first World Cup in 40 years, they lost every single game they played. The domestic infrastructure was practically non-existent. Without a professional league, the entire United States Soccer Federation was run by volunteers, operating out of a single rent-free trailer in Colorado Springs. The American public was largely unaware of the sport's existence. During the 1990 tournament, it was nearly impossible to even find an English-language broadcast of the matches on national television. The 1994 tournament functioned as a massive cultural transplant, built from absolute zero. To force the sport into a new market, International Football's governing body, FIFA, made a controversial decision. They awarded the 1994 World Cup to the United States. That award came with a non-negotiable ultimatum. To keep the tournament, the U.S. was required to launch a brand new domestic professional soccer league. U.S. Soccer President Alan Rothenberg faced intense pressure. He had to manufacture genuine hype among a deeply skeptical public, or the required new league would have no audience. The stakes were binary. If the tournament failed to capture the American imagination, the promised domestic league would die on arrival, and the chance to establish a permanent professional presence in the United States would likely vanish for a generation. Rothenberg knew he couldn't sell Americans on the intricacies of the offside rule. Instead, he decided to sell them a Hollywood event. You can see this strategy in action during the tournament draw in Las Vegas. Instead of relying purely on athletes, organizers rolled out celebrities like James Brown and comedian Robin Williams, who drew the teams while wearing a surgical glove. The opening ceremonies at Chicago's Soldier Field were packaged to mirror a Super Bowl halftime show, right down to Diana Ross famously missing a penalty kick on live television. Wrapping the event in familiar celebrity glamour successfully bought the audience's attention. Now, the actual sport had a window to take over. On the pitch, the underdog U.S. national team actually found success. When Eric Wijnaldum whipped a free kick into the top corner against Switzerland, American fans suddenly had a real reason to invest in the matches. Simultaneously, the tournament had to compete with uniquely American cultural chaos. While Germany played Bolivia, millions of viewers, including the Italian national team, were glued to the 2-hour police pursuit of O.J. Simpson across California. Soon, the visceral realities of international football breached the sunny Hollywood facade. Argentina's Diego Maradona, one of the greatest players in history, was expelled from the tournament in disgrace after failing a drug test. Then came a horrific reminder of the sport's global stakes. Just 10 days after accidentally scoring an own goal against the U.S., Colombian defender Andres Escobar was shot and killed in his home country. The combination of underdog triumphs and real-world tragedies shifted the public's perception. The sport was no longer an exotic curiosity. It now possessed a dramatic weight that commanded genuine attention. The tournament peaked at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Over 94,000 fans packed the stadium as Brazil and Italy faced off in the brutal midday California heat. The two powerhouse teams ground through 120 minutes of tension, failing to score a single goal and forcing a penalty shootout to decide the champion. It ended with one of the most famous misses in sports history. Roberto Baggio, the brilliant forward who had carried Italy to the final, sent his decisive penalty kick sailing high over the crossbar. As Baggio stood frozen, Brazil erupted into celebration, claiming their 4th World Cup title to the roar of a massive global audience. The tournament delivered exactly the kind of blockbuster drama it promised on day one, fully justifying the organizers' initial gamble. This chart shows the total stadium attendance of USA '94 against previous World Cups. The tournament shattered expectations, bringing in 3.6 million attendees and generating profit margins that shocked global skeptics. Fulfilling FIFA's strict ultimatum, the organizers used that momentum to launch Major League Soccer 2 years later. Crucially, the organizers decided to respect the sport's global fans. They rejected early proposals to modify the rules by adding ice hockey-style quarters or widening the goalposts. In 1990, the sport was a television blackout. Today, Major League Soccer has grown to 30 teams, and malls are filled with fans wearing replica jerseys for Messi, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid. As the country prepares to co-host the 2026 World Cup, kids in suburban parks are now more likely to be kicking a soccer ball than throwing a pass. The 1994 World Cup achieved what decades of previous attempts could not. It established a permanent professional infrastructure and turned a skeptical public into a soccer nation.